Welcome to Fabulous Living, where we are committed to growing beyond measure throughout the struggle, and most importantly, where we are committed to breaking outside of those self-limiting boxes so that we can walk in our freedom and our purpose. Hey, I want to make sure that you don't forget to check out my blog at www.fabulousliving.com, where we are talking about today's topic of brave heart, and we are talking about being fabulously brave, and I want to make sure that you check out that extended edition. So I want to bring up this topic to you of a brave heart. We are in these times, we are moving very quickly with adapting to all of the different changes that are requiring us to make sure that we have protective measures in place, to make sure that our well-being is safeguarded, and our families, right? And so one of the things that we're looking at is that we're becoming more aware of our bodies. We are taking notice of every cough, every sneeze. If we have a headache, if there is a temperature, if we're feeling sluggish, we are on high alert and paying close attention to those areas. And one of the things that we are also challenged by is the fear of being asymptomatic, meaning carrying any type of carrying the virus, and then basically not showing any symptoms and having a chance of passing it on to a loved one, and people who are in those vulnerable populations. We have absolutely been experiencing this thing of asymptomatic for a very long time, believe it or not. And in my time of isolation, which I have been challenged by, not necessarily going out, and not having access to the world, but being in a period of just having those moments of introspection and self-reflection. That self-reflection, that has been a challenge, because it has forced me to turn the mirror on myself and look at some things that has interrupted my progress and ability to step out of the box. And unfortunately, some of those things that we see as far as asymptomatic, I'm talking specifically about the heart. There are things that we walk about in life carrying in our hearts that you can't see. They go undetected. You sometimes ignore, and we don't recognize that they are there. Things like unforgiveness, situations where you have a great amount of bitterness that's buried and lying dormant on the inside, jealousy, malice, hate, all of those different things that make our hearts absolutely sick. And when we take one look at ourselves, we can dress it up, we can wrap it up, box it up in a bow, and it looks fine, it looks normal. But deep down within, we know that that our hearts can be very sick. And so there are some things that like I said, with introspection, that I have been paying very close attention to. And it brought me to this. Jeremiah 17:9 says, "The heart is deceitful above all things, beyond cure. Who can understand it?" It reminds me so much of what we're going through right now with COVID-19 and the similarities, because of the fact that the heart is deceitful. We see that COVID-19 is deceitful. You have false negative results, and then you have situations where people are asymptomatic and it doesn't feel like I'm sick, but in reality the virus is deceiving us in a way. Same way with the heart. And then we see that this virus has no cure, and right here we see above all things, beyond cure. Who can understand it? And we're still working to understand that, but we're working to understand too, and really address. And it takes a brave heart to really acknowledge that there's some things on the inside that have plagued my heart that I have to be absolutely honest about. And during this season, I am beginning to do what I call heart checks. And what I mean by that is basically taking time to be very aware and conscious of what I'm feeling when it comes to dealing with different people and situations in particular. So I'm going to give you an example. If you have a situation where someone's name comes up in a conversation and it makes your stomach leap and you feel like you're just gonna throw up. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I'm getting a headache just from just hearing the name. It's just driving me absolutely insane because this person just rubs me the wrong way. Guess what? That is a symptom, and you obviously, and I too, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. You come to a moment that I've been infected. There's something there within my heart that shouldn't be there, because I shouldn't have all of the stomach turns and the headaches just from seeing a person or just from hearing their name or hearing their voice, and it gives you this like so then that's when we have to recognize that, you know what, God, I really need you to create in me a clean heart and renew the right spirit in me. And I am so desperately in need of you in order to survive. Very much just like the virus. So I'm saying to you that it does take a brave heart to acknowledge and confess that, hey, I got some heart issues going on here. So I want you to remember that it is so important for us during this time, as we take these moments to reflect and to think about just life in general. Is it really worth it? And I know that some of us who are very much faith believers, we want to get to that place of having everlasting life. And matters of the heart, issues of the heart, they interfere with us being able to get to that ultimate goal of having that everlasting life. So it does take a brave heart to really cry out and say, Lord, I desperately need you to survive. And so I leave you with this one question, and that is, when it comes to heart issues, all of the things that are going on in the inside, are you asymptomatic? I want to leave that with you. Are you asymptomatic? Meaning, are there things on the inside that you are not recognizing that we are going about? I've talked about changing hats and living life, but the whole time I'm carrying something that's really, 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 really damaging my heart and interfering with my ability to live my life fabulous and free and totally walking in purpose. Once again, are you asymptomatic when it comes to the heart? Until we meet again, stay well.